I'm Father Mark Horak. I'm pastor at St. Thomas More Church here in Decatur. I'm happy to talk with you and pray with you this morning. We've been spending some time with the Gospel of John, the so-called farewell discourse. John's record, if you will, of Jesus' words to his disciples just before he goes to his death and his resurrection. And he says, I will ask the Father, and he will give you an advocate to be with you forever. And I will not leave you orphaned. I am coming to you. And he says, the Father and I will come to you and make our home with you. Wonderful words. The Father and I will come to you and make our home with you. And then the passage for today continues. The Advocate, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you everything and remind you of all that I have said to you. Peace I leave with you. So Jesus is about to leave the world, to go to his death and then be raised up. But he promises that he'll never, ever abandon us. So he makes this promise that he will send the Spirit. And it's a promise made, and it's a promise kept. We know that the Holy Spirit has been given to all the baptized. It's God's way of remaining alive and active in the world even after Jesus has died and been raised up. God is love, right? That's the best way we have of describing who God is. Straight out of the scriptures, God is love. And what would we expect of a God who is love, except a God who will choose to be with us always? That explains Jesus, right? It explains why God became a human person, so that God could be with us and love us in ways that we can experience and feel. And it explains how God remains with us even after Jesus dies and is raised up. God with us through the power of the Spirit. And how can we be sure? How can we be sure that God remains with us, God remains in us? What does God feel like, in other words? What's the evidence that God is within you and me? Well, God is love, right? We've already established that. We already believe that with all our hearts. And so God feels like love. God feels like love. So when you or I feel loved by another, that's the Spirit. When you and I feel inclined or moved to love another, that's God, that's the Spirit in us, seeking to be released into the world through you and me. When we feel drawn into communion with our brothers and sisters, when we feel moved to love and seek relationship with our brothers and sisters, that's God at work, the Spirit at work in you and me. The Spirit moving us into relationship with another. Every time we experience love in all its forms, that's the Spirit. That's proof that God is with us, that God has kept his promise to send the Spirit into the world. We talk about God becoming incarnate, God becoming flesh, being made flesh in the person of Jesus. Well, I sometimes think that God has also become incarnate, has taken flesh in all the baptized, in all those who have the gift of the Spirit within. So the idea, of course, is to make way, to get out of the way, so that God can have God's way in the world, loving the world in and through us. I will send you my Spirit, and God will make God's home with us.